How will you define somebody with the Spirit of God? And let's say, for instance, your husband is a pastor. Does it also mean automatically he's spiritual? How do you plead?
Okay, so just as my husband has said, someone who is spiritual for us, or for us, someone who loves God, or someone who has the fear of God. If you fear God, we all, as Christians, people go to church, people will read their Bibles, pray, go for prayer meetings religiously, but then they don't know God. They don't have that relationship with God. Because I don't understand how you claim to love God and then you display wickedness. So when it happens, it's happening that way, then that person's spirituality or relationship with God should be questioned. Yeah, so and then that aside, about choosing someone who is spiritual. In the context of marriage, we say, or it's said that the husband is the head, right? So you have to choose the correct head. You don't want a head that is not considerate, a head that cannot think for the rest of the body, to direct the body as to where to go, or where not to go, or what to think about, or what to eat, what not to eat. So it's essential, because the fear of God helps the head lead the home or the relationship.
One notion I also want to address is the notion of the fact that the person is in church, so no matter what, the person is right. And especially the person is in leadership, so this person may be a good person to marry. So I think that from the little you have shared with us, it is very important that we look at that, because church roles and especially calling is not a guarantee of a good marriage.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you for clarifying that point for us. Now, the factors...
And I think I want to add this before. So while my wife was speaking, she brought something in I forgot to say about the choosing the right head.
Okay.
Because marriage, the hierarchy is 3 people in one. God and the 2 of you. So God, as in Christ, is the head of the man, and the woman's head is the man.
Okay.
So you want to choose someone you can submit to his leadership, and especially someone you know can lead you to the right place. In marriage, the submission to the authority is very important. So if you know you can't, and this is my advice I give, if you can't respect a man, you can't submit to his authority, he's not, don't marry him. So you don't say, oh, I love him, but I can't submit to his authority. That's one thing you should see. So you don't say that, and this notion that's going on around that as women, the equal rights and all those things. In marriage and in Christianity, it's not like that. I believe that there always need to be a slope in order for unction to flow. But whenever you are on the same flow, oil cannot flow. And those of you who are into a bit of building, you understand, or a bit about nature. If you want something to flow, there have to be a slope or a gradient so that the flow can happen. But if it happens, the woman wants to be the head, they said 2 heads can create a monster. So the woman is saying there's a man. So all those things have to come in. So that it doesn't mean, because our generation today are looking at fantasies. But where the real action is in the marriage, that's what my wife said, someone who can lead you to what to do. So someone you can also, lastly, someone you can rest in his leadership. So let's say if the man says sleep, whilst there is a problem, you can sleep and know that he can deal with the issue. That's why he says sleep. But not someone who says sleep and he himself doesn't know what to do. Okay. It's very, very important, because just even these few months we married, there are times where my wife has certain fears. And I told her that I'm the captain of this boat and it will not sink. And I realized she had that confidence. So I believe that is very important, or else marriage has issues in them. And it will take, as I said, your readiness to submit. Because there are times where you should be ready to accept that something is your fault. And I believe we'll get there, so I will not jump the gun.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are backpedaling a little bit. Still on the factors, we have not moved too much.
Yeah.
You mentioned finance as one of the things we should consider. And in your submission, you stated that some people have a very high mind about what they mean by finance. Okay, I was watching a video on Instagram and somebody said, it is for better, for worse. But for me, when it is better, I'm in it. Therefore, worse is not for me.
Yeah.
So, at what level will you peg finance that, okay, based on this man, maybe you can get someone who is fabulously rich. You can also get a woman who is fabulously rich. Where should we stand and say, okay, if I look at this person's standing financially, that person is good enough for us to go. Maybe you have looked at spirituality, you have looked at compatibility, all those stuff. But the finance, what do you think we should peg it at to say that I'm good to go?
Okay. So someone,
especially considering your husband is a pastor.
Who is not? Okay, my wife don't want me to bring that one.
Okay, we'll get there.
yeah, so someone who is hardworking,
Okay.
right? So I believe that once a person is hardworking, the person would want or would do things to bring in money. Let me just put it that way.
Are you sure? Some people are hardworking, but we don't see the result of the hard work.
Well, so it's other factors are involved. So of course, hard work, wisdom. I mean, you know where to actually, put in the hard work to get something. So, well, there's, what should I even say? As I said, you don't have to have billions, but once you see that the person's willingness to do something, to bring in something, we are talking about money, so the person's willingness to bring in money, it all boils down to hard work to me, honestly. Because
let me press you just a little bit more. What do you think about a situation where you know that when men are interested in a woman, they can do all kinds of things, okay, to show that they are competent, they have what it takes financially and all that. In your estimation, at what level will you say, okay, this man is good to go financially? Maybe he should be earning about 5,000. Maybe he should be in. I agree that he should be hardworking, he should be wise. But if you want to advise somebody, your daughter has come to you, telling you that I found a man, what will you envision? I'm saying this so that you can make reference to maybe what made you say my husband is good enough for us to settle. I hope you get your question.
I get it. And that is what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to, I can't mention that the person should be earning 5,000 cedis or, an amount of money. But then I think that there's ideally, in this case, ideally, a steady income. Even if it is 100 cedis, that comes in regularly or consistently, I think you can consider that.
Okay.
So I think I want to help my wife there because my wife is a very information holding. So she does, but by the grace of God, I always say I am the Kennedy Japan of pastors. I will talk. So the secret to that, your answer would be, as she said, steady income. But the steady income could be one city. But my issue is leadership and management. Because I know both parties can be earning 5,000. And before the month, the money is finished because there's no proper financial management. So when you get to know that, okay, we are going to be having 10 CDs all the time to spend in a month, it will also guide your taste I always tell my wife something, sacrifice. And anybody who knows how to, I always have this, anybody who knows how to sacrifice and have where he's sacrificing to would always come through with what he wants to do. So most importantly is about my first and last of everything is leadership.
Okay.
So if the person financially stable or whatever, my wife said, should be around someone who has potential and you see the person as she said, hard working or working towards something. For instance, the person may not be working or may not be gainfully employed, but the person talks to you and you see the person has vision. He knows where he wants to be. I tell my friend young pastors around me that if I should tell you that, give me a 5-year development plan right now, and you can't tell me, you are not serious. So you should know where you want to be in the next 5 years. So that then now when you know where you are going, so the vision is where you want to be. Then the mission is how you will get there. So both parties should have that in mind. So there could be that, okay, today the man may not be working, but the woman will be working, and there should be an understanding and sacrifice. Okay, when we got married, I'm not working. I told my wife that your money should be handling things of the house, and mine will be handling basic things outside. So maybe utilities, or we are going somewhere, transportation. I want to take care of that one. And as a pastor, those of you know pastors, you know the source of income. I do other things around, more of like a consultant into publication here and there, but those things, I don't know how to charge for them. So when I'm done, you say, God bless you, I receive it. If you say, thank you with 5 cedis, I receive it. But all, as I said, it's a matter of management. Because earlier today when we were speaking, I told you about how sometimes we are able to manage an amount of money. Someone will even say that it can't even take care of him and his dogs, or his dogs alone. It's a matter of management end. Because if you want to look too much about amount, then I'm not sure anybody will marry. And when you ask my wife the question, this inspiration came to me. When God gave Adam Eve, Adam was employed. The employed was, he knew his purpose. So it's about the vision. He knew what he's about, what God has called him to be. So the woman came in to help. And in the working at it, provision will be made.
Okay.
So it's about knowing what you are doing.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's also consider, though there are people who argue that in these times, if you want to marry somebody who is rich, whether the person has it or not, you guys have married, and from even what you are saying, we can say that, okay, fine, financial stability is there to a certain extent, but your husband is not fabulously and extraordinarily rich. What will you say to people who find themselves in such a category where marry somebody who can take care of you, and they mean particularly financially? And I'm saying this because I have an example in my house where this person is married. The man can take care of you in terms of pampering you and doing all kinds of things, but you'll be the one spending the money as a woman. And it's very, very difficult and challenging. If, for instance, in your husband's case, even though he's into full-time, he's able to generate some revenue from his publishing. He has written books, one of them evangelism, I remember very well. And so he's bringing something in. Well, I'll be interviewing him in 2 weeks' time about missions and the role of publishing, where we'll talk more even about his income. But we want to focus on the marriage. How are we able to solve this issue of find a rich person to marry? I'm asking the woman first of all. I will change the question. Yes.
Find a rich person to marry. I don't think that should guide any woman. I mean, that shouldn't be the main thing. I mean, if you find someone who you are with or you can be with and can take good care of you, why not? But that shouldn't be a preventive measure, if I should put it that way. In the case where the man is not taking very good care of you financially, or the income is not, or monetary inflow is not as much as you want, and you, the lady, or you, the woman, have the capacity, I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with the income coming from the lady's side. I mean, you are together, or you want to be together. So these are some sacrifices that you should be ready to make. Sometimes, most of the things just about the mindset. So once you tune your mindset, the fact that, okay, for now, I am the one taking care of certain needs in the family. And because you are, and that should even ginger you, because you are with him, you should encourage him, or you should push him to be a better version, because it shouldn't be like this through to the end. For the beginning or for the initial stages, it will be like that, or it can be like that. But then, as a woman, as the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtain favor. Your favor should work for the man such that he will also be able to step up in terms of finances.
Okay, but so I need to
before that, let me press just a little. Okay, so based on what you have said, some women also make the argument. I will take your answer, but some women also make the argument that you struggle with the man, and then later they end up messing up in the future when the money has come after you have done this thing. So it's a deterrent to people. Do you see those traces in your husband, that one day he will come and lord it over you? And then secondly, how do you advise such women? Because we are still on, we have not yet even entered the marriage. We are just around choosing, basically. Okay, Mr. Kwashie, you have told us that you have spoken to people, or you have been with people, and one major reason you couldn't stick to them or be with them is because of the pastoral call. Okay, so the question I want to put before you, and then your wife will also answer. I don't know if she has been with others, so you can tell us why you chose her and why he chose you over all the others. At least he has given us one, that he made it clear to the people that I will become a pastor, or I'm a pastor. If you can cope with that, that's fine. What are some of the things, okay, that makes you think you have made the best of choices? I would like Mr. Kwashie.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, there were two ladies before my wife. Okay. And for them, I will not call it a serious relationship, but we were those friends we nearly ended. But as I said, all the ladies around me, even my wife will tell you, before we even got into relationship, my days as a denominational leader on the university campus, I used to tell them, me when I'm down to school, I'm going to do ministry, I'm going to my hometown to do blah 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 blah. So they knew. So as I kept saying it around the female friends, the traffic around me started reducing. Because you know that ladies there, they like three things: a woman, a guy who looks promising, has fame, and money is there, and someone they feel comfortable with, so jovial, you make them feel okay. So but anytime I realized I increase the velocity of where I want to be in future, the numbers kept reducing. And there were certain character traits I was looking for in a wife because I'll be a pastor. There are three people when you are to marry, you should have certain lifestyle, especially teachers, a politician, and a pastor. There are people you should know the human traffic around them is always jammed. So a wife should have certain unique features to be able to manage this human traffic. Earlier this afternoon, I was speaking with your wife and I was saying that as pastor, we are meeting people every time. We make friends easily. For instance, today when I was coming, we made friends with a trotro meet and something. But my wife is not like that. But she has what it takes to manage such a friend I've made, which is approachable, relatable, humble. The first thing I love about my wife is the humility. She is not the all-out person, but she has the uniqueness to deal with, let me say, the crowd I bring to the house. She has what it takes to deal with them. Not necessarily money, or at least if it's small rice we have, she can do some magic with it, and the people will say, oh, and my wife, by the grace of God, I've not seen her do a fake smile. You see, there are some people, they don't like the people who are in the house. But because my husband said go and greet them, they come and they are doing some smiling. When after they finish shaking you and they turn, you see the smile has disappeared. So that was what I was looking at. Someone who loves people. Because a pastoral work is about people. Ministry is people and people is ministry. So the lady I dropped, if she's listening.
That means that where you are going is where I want you to continue. It means that you were looking at two people, your wife and the lady you dropped.
No, I mean that the last lady I dropped before I came to her.
Okay, good.
The last lady I dropped had everything, because aside everything, I wanted someone who will be available to move. You know, pastoral work and the kind of call I have is the movement that we are moving. So I need a lady or a person who will be always available. Let's go. Not someone I'm not in the mood, I can't go. Because you see, at the early stages where you are not married, you get the ladies, oh, we are going to Agosumekliko. They said I'm coming. Whether they are afraid because of the name, they are available to come. But after the marriage, I'm tired, I can't go. And you go and come. They will use many excuses. The lady had it. But the only thing, if she's watching, she will testify is, I said her human relations. Not that she can't talk or something. She doesn't know how to check on people. Sometimes 3 days straight, if I don't check up, she doesn't. And I wasn't worried because I believe when we are married, every day I will have her in the house. But how about the case of maybe people, because I listen to things a lot in church. And Pastor, you're ground to me, going in China, because those things are very important to me. Because I don't want a case where I am loved and my wife is not loved. Or I am loved and there's a certain claimed love for my wife, but it's not genuine. So all those things are very important. And as I said, the character traits, spirit food, all those things, I looked at it. But based on where I'm going, I look at the passenger. I remember, let me share this example. I remember the first time I was going to Bolga. I think the second time, I was going alone. So I had this lady who it was her first time. And she said whenever she's traveling to a place she doesn't know, she's a bit nervous. So when we were sitting down, she said before she came to realize I'm the one there, she was looking for someone who will make her feel comfortable where she's going. So she said she can't sleep in a car going that long journey. Someone she can, because you see there are times when you are sitting in a car, the one you are sitting with, because of certain mannerisms, you are not comfortable. So that is the same thing about ministry. That I want someone I can genuinely tell something that I can't do it, and the person will be there. So let's say I'm to represent our family somewhere, and I can't go. One, is my wife ready to humble herself and listen to me and not argue that no, it's you they invited, no. And when the person to go, do you really see a sense that I really want to come, or this one she was forced to come? You see, there are some people, they behave indifferent when they go to places, but I don't get to see that from my wife, and she's really a blessing. And one last thing about the person is, also you know how pastoral work can be. The tension, the frustration, disappointment, and depression. So I wanted someone who can help me to deal with those things, especially that I'll have a peaceful home. I will not go out and be bombarded out there, and I come and home too is not peaceful. I will die early. And by the grace of God, my wife is not an nagging wife. Like, there are times I sense from her that something is not going well from her, and she's not necessarily happy, but she wishes it could be done another way. But since my husband says that God is in control or I am in control. She has accepted. That's why I said it should be someone you can humble yourself to as your leader. And it's one thing, I've never had my wife challenge me on something we agree. And she will tell you, it's like the home, I'm not chopping the head alone. Sometimes, before I take a decision, I ask her, because I learned it somewhere. Before you do something, consult. So when you consult, you bring the ideas together and present it, and they'll see you to be the wisest person, but they don't know it is a compilation of people's ideas. So that's one of the important things. Me, I'm going to be a pastor, so I wanted certain characters as wife.
Alright. With any other person, and why the choice?
Why the choice? Well, first of all, I would say that he's an open-minded person. He's someone that you can talk to, and we can talk about anything with him. See, usually when we say like him being a pastor, so someone's a pastor, so like you cannot talk about anything, or certain things, so you cannot
spoken, so God has spoken. That's
so that kind of thing. But then he's not like that. He's, as he says, he's open to receive ideas here and there, to put things together, to come up with the best.
You don't look like somebody who criticizes. Sorry to cut you. You don't look like somebody who criticizes. Is he open to criticism as well?
Yes, he is. So it's all part of it. Like when someone
She will tell you, I'm very remorseful.
He's someone. I can see something, or I notice that something is not right, or I'm not comfortable with some certain thing. I can tell him, and then he wouldn't be adamant. He will still, yeah. He's open to learn from his mistake. That's one thing that gets to me, because growing up, or I've had encounters with guys who are, you are a guy, so you have to show forth your power, or you are always that kind of thing. But he's someone who you can criticize, and then he will accept and make the changes where necessary, and then apologize when needed and all that. Aside that too, he's not stingy. I must mention, there are some guys.
I also make my case where I must make my case.
Oh yes, yeah. So it's all part of it.
Because you see, there are some people who say this is the way it should be, but they can't justify why it should be like that.
Yeah.
But only if I want it, I justify why it should be. So I'll make you understand, so that when I fail, I also, when I'm doing that, I should tell, I put a caveat there that I don't know, or when it doesn't happen, please forgive me. But I like the
stinginess. That humility, I think, is very, very important. The mindset that I don't have it all figured out, that human element. And I think that idea of the man is always right, it comes from that mindset that whatever he says makes complete sense, which is not always the case.
It's just
okay, so back to you.
The stinginess.
Okay.
Yeah, you were talking about stinginess. He's not stingy.
Yeah, so he's not stingy. Him not having a lot of money at hand now, and then he by being able to release, as we say, directly release his pound is something that got to me. So that shows that even he doesn't have now, but then he's able to give some. So it means that when he gets more, now
because I can't say that.
How do you define somebody who is stingy in your perception? When you say somebody, assuming maybe there was another guy, when you say he's stingy, what do you mean by he's stingy?
Someone who is not ready to give. You know that someone who is not ready to give, especially when you know the person has the ability, or yes, I know that you have just one, or you have just a loaf of bread, but I'm asking you for it. So I'm not asking you to give me everything. So you can see that from the person's readiness. Okay, it's just one. So you let me give you half of it and also take the other half.
But you know there are some loaves of bread you just can't share. If it will even be unreasonable to share. I'm saying this because sometimes people don't give money for certain things for good reasons. Even when you were talking about stinginess, he made a cutting, but I missed it. Does stinginess always have to do with having it? I know Beauty very well because sometimes when he was on campus, I was wondering how he was able to give to certain things, give to certain people and the rest. Because I have a fair understanding of his financial situations. So I know that he's somebody who cheerfully gives. Okay, but I don't know what you mean by somebody who is not stingy. Because if you have a husband, okay, your husband has plans for both of you. Okay, you want to fix a new hair and Brother Newton says, no, this money is going into, let's say, church service tomorrow. We can't use it for your hair, but you must go to church all the same. Will you classify that as being stingy?
So that's a different aspect altogether.
All right.
But in this case, we are talking about meat, right?
Yes.
We are talking about meat. So you see that a person is willing, or he may not have it, but he's concerned about having to solve that need of yours.
All right.
And I think I will also add why the stinginess is also open about your finances.
Okay.
My wife will tell you that anytime I make any money, I declare. Like politician, declaration of asset, I declare. Sometimes I go anywhere when I'm giving, as soon as I bring it, I hand it over to her. Especially if it's physical cash. If it's not in mobile money or something, I tell her that, oh, Brother Robert gave us this amount and this is it. And always, one thing I always like to let her understand is, I have to explain what a need and a want to her is.
Okay.
So a need is, so she will tell you, when she tells me she wants to do something, I ask her that if she doesn't do it, will she be alive or she will die?
Okay.
If she says she can survive,
or not.
because a need is something you can't live without. But a want is your desire, and we all will not get our wants before we die.
Okay.
So, and it's about making, for her, I tell her, make a case for the thing.
Okay.
And let it sound reasonable to me. And then aside that is the knowing that we have things to do.
Okay.
So one thing I love about her before we end is she is not a demanding person.
Okay.
She's not those, if she can tell the hair you are seeing with her, if I should tell her she's going to use it for 10 years, she will not say, oh, I'm a lady, I'm this and that.
I want to press you a little. What do you mean by she's not a demanding?
Okay, when I say my wife is not demanding, she's one content with what we have. She understands that at this point, this is what we have, and I know the financial state of the house, because I don't want to say him again, because when you marry another one, so if hers is 1,000 and mine is 1,000, she knows we have 2,000. So if she's demanding something, she's reasonable to know that what I'm asking, can our budget take it? And so my reasonability of she being reasonable, she's not demanding, is about contentment. She takes it that this is what we have.
Okay.
I know she would desire to have some things, but sometimes I make her know that, like Jesus, John the Baptist told Jesus Christ, let it be so for now.
Okay. Alright. So please, you can continue with your list. You stop there. It's not stingy.
Let's open the
Okay. So to you, the open-mindedness, not being stingy, that's what got to you.
Yeah.
It was enough.
I mean, there are other ones, but those are some perspectives. But the main things
Okay.
are what are we?
Yes, I want to also ask you this question. I don't know your take on it. You know, some men don't like to declare their budget. Simply because before the money even drops, you see that the wife is doing some calculations. Okay, oh, this money. And sometimes, even in my marriage, I noticed that anytime there is money, even you who the money has come to you, you start getting ideas of, okay, this is possible, I can do this, I can do that. Do you think that being open financially is really helpful? Both ways, for the man, for the woman. And we'll talk about managing finance in marriage. We are still at the basics, as at now. Do you think that being open about finances is helpful? And I want you to further extend it, not only about being open in finance, especially before you marry. Is it necessary for you to be open about your finances? So you answer it being open in the marriage, and then even before you marry.
So all is finance related,
yes.
Or general openness?
Finance related. Let's look at finance.
So with the finance, I believe it's important to be open, because with my wife, currently as we are here, there's a project before us that we are looking at achieving. So whatever finances we have, or whatever is coming into our hands, we have that thing in mind, so that we don't become overexcited and waste, and then now realize that, oh, we had this thing to do. So for instance, let's say we are buying a land, but we're going to ask the price, negotiated, and they say, oh, you can be paying small. So out of that condition we've got, any money we get, there's something we are putting down. It's all, to me, it's all about, I believe in delayed gratification. And then making do with what you have. And I always believe that I will get there. Today I walk, but I walk in pride, because I know I won't walk forever. One, because of my faith in God, what He can do. Then second, I know I am purposeful. So for me, my vision, my motto in life is to be a lively and a purposeful person. And so it's very important that you are open, so that when you are open, it also guides what you ask for. Because right now, my wife knows she can't go and ask for maybe Brazilian wig that is 2,000 cedis for us. Because when she raises it, I remind her of the project we have to do. So that one day, because she know me, I can also tease. So she wear that 2,000, I'll say, hey, wow, land dies on her head like that.
Alright, how do you look at the concept of openness? Is there a time where you have wished that you were not open, or you didn't declare that, okay, this money I should have just kept it and not say anything about it? Has there been a time like that?
Oh, yeah, I need to be honest. Like, yes, sometimes, I mean, as a lady as I am, or as human, yeah, it sometimes crosses my mind. But then, when you get to realize that it's important that we are open about the finances. He knows what I have, I know what he has, so we know what we have. As he said, it guides in the spending, it guides in, what you use the money for, it guides in, how to go about the money. So it helps. It helps.
Then I want to add something to what she said. So like we're still on the openness. So currently, for instance, I don't have any hidden account in the way. She knows that when we got married, we opened a joint account. And she was with me when I closed my single account. Then everything is this account. The only other one is the mobile money. But I know she has a single account. She has. But she also makes me know what is happening in that account. So the openness is there. So there are times, and she knows wherever my money is. And she knows wherever I place money in the house. She knows if
and it is safe for you.
Yes, and it's safe, yeah. Because one thing, as I said, I love about her is when you come and want to see this out, she will let you know. She's not the type she will spend, and now when you in your mind you thought you have 100 Ghana here, and you go and look at them, it has now gone to 25. And when you ask, they will use patapa that but I'm a lady, I have needs. So with us, because I asked about why she's still keeping a single account, and one of the reasons, and it made sense. There are times she said she doesn't want to bother me with asking me certain things. So there are times, let's say, she comes home with some provisions she's owed, and I know how much she took from the house before she left. So I get to notice that, oh, she balanced it with her account, so it's open. She's told me we have a plan the day she finally close that one down.
Okay.
So the openness helps, so that it's all like the openness helps general, not only finances, so that tomorrow when I hear that she has done something, like I know of marriages where they were married for over 30 years and the woman was building a house somewhere and the husband didn't know. That one alone, you've betrayed my trust, because there were times I believe I needed some one Ghana, you told me you didn't have, but I was able to buy cement and blocks somewhere.
So basically, we are moving towards the wedding. Now you have found somebody you want to marry.
Yeah.
What are the things that we should be thinking about and considering for the wedding? Or what? Okay, fine. Let me ask you one-on-one. You have when you accepted, okay, fine, I'm interested in this man, I want to marry him. What were some of the things that you did towards your wedding?
Towards the wedding.
Yes.
So
Towards that
the day.
the day. You know, sometimes we forget that wedding is a 1 day or 2 hours event. Okay, so from accepting the proposal to maybe the wedding, what were some of the important things to you in those times? Did you ever cross your mind that I've made the right choice, I've made the wrong choice? And secondly, how was preparation? And were there struggles? The wedding should be this way, it should be that way, and stuff like that. Okay. And then we'll come to how did you even break the news to your family that you want to marry at an early age. Okay, so let's start with the preparation towards the wedding.
Okay, so towards the wedding, I mean the important thing is getting purchasing, the items. Okay, I think that should be from the man's side. But then, we work together, purchasing the items on the list for the family. Aside that, too, the ceremony. That's the wedding that you mentioned. So what you wear, what you are going to give your guests, and all that. You have to lay everything there. You have options you have to choose for. So like for dress or for the gown, for the wedding gown, you have to plan for it. What kind of gown do you want to wear? How much can you how much can you afford to spend on the gown and all that? So you look at that.
What during your wedding, what do you think was the what role did your husband play in that period? Was it helpful to you during the build up to the wedding?
Yeah,
or
so
he was just, I know many men say, oh, it's a woman's thing for the wedding. So what I will do is, you anything you want, you just say it, I have the money, I'll give you, organize it. How involved was he?
He was very involved. He was really involved. Well, I would say that because
Make good decisions when it comes to the wedding, because sometimes we all have what we dream about and what is actually on the ground. So we all have the Cinderella story and all that, but what was your idea of the Cinderella story and what was actually on the ground?
Okay, so I wanted to have, aside the church ceremony and all that, the wedding party, of course, reception party. I want to have a reception party that you come in dancing with your husband, and then bridal parties, and then people are seated cheering you on.
Wow.
bride and father dance, bride and mother dance, all those things. Of course, I also wanted to have them, and of course, okay, let me do that. Yes, I wanted to have.
Continue. Let us know.
So, so wait, just coming back to your question. He was really involved.
Oh, okay. So fine.
He was really involved in the preparation and all.
So what actually happened on the ground? You have given us the Cinderella story. So let's tell us what actually happened and how you had to handle the shock that I won't get some of all these things.
So all had to do with finances. I wanted to have all that, but then even putting the man aside, for me, do I have what it takes to sponsor or to have that kind of? Well, people will argue that it's
she
the
was
man
really helpful to on
who
that.
is supposed to do that and all.
You see, there are some people who have what they want,
Okay.
and it should be on the man's budget. But one thing I loved about her that she took responsibility. I want it, but in I wanting it, although it's me and the man, how can I also support that? So that one there, she was really helpful.
Okay.
So now continue. I just chipped in.
Yes. So as to what happened.
What happened and how you handled it when you got to know that.
Yes. So I got to know that
this our program is impossible.
This is not going. It's not going to happen that way. But then I thank God for the Holy Spirit. I mean, of course.
So did you
prayer.
cry or something?
Oh, I didn't cry. Because I'm not going to help. I didn't cry.
Okay, let Brian Newton help us with it. Can you help us with how the conversation went when you had to inform her that you can't have this type of wedding as you wish, or the conversation never came up?
Oh, okay. For me, first of all, from where I'm coming from, nobody has married, so I didn't have an expectation. Like the way she said, I had a way. Me, I didn't have any way. Okay. What is important is she's your wife, you are the husband, and I go. So for me, I didn't have any particular style of event that I wanted. For me, it was just.
No, I think you have missed the question a bit. How did the conversation?
I didn't have any way I wanted.
Okay.
So I called a meeting, and I went into the board meeting.
Okay.
Oh, though finances informed some of the decision I took.
Okay.
But some to spirituality, I covered up after part spiritual after part. I gave reason why some of them is not needed.
Okay.
Because I got to realize a little pressure was inside.
Pressure from
not from parents, but you see, for her I knew she has attended weddings in her lifetime.
Oh, okay.
So I realized wherever she went, she picked something.
Okay.
My wedding, this one must feature. My wedding, this one. So I had to diffuse that bomb.
Okay.
So I made her understand that I can't do some of the things. So as I said, I justified it for her. But so what I first of all did is we had a meeting. List all you wanted. So I quietly listed. Then I took the red pen. Oh, this one is not needed.
That's how it went.
Oh,
so you just cancel.
So she was there. And as before I cancel, I give the reason.
Okay, so that day.
Oh, that day it
it
wasn't easy. No, this one day I beg you, find a way and make it possible.
Okay.
And I forgot some of the things, but some of the things in a way it made sense. But as I said.
What about the father's dance? Was the father's dance one of the things?
Oh,
we didn't have
we didn't do a reception.
Party.
Okay, so the argument was not even the content of the reception, but whether to even have the reception.
Oh, we could have done the reception. A time came so the thing, as I said, the finances. But she knows me, I'm a person of faith a lot. Okay. So even when I was counseling, I'll tell her that when God makes a way, it will still happen.
That's why he got you. So God didn't make a way.
No, as in the future,
So I know. So that God make a way is two things. To the time, if someone sponsors it to be done.
Okay.
But if not, I also made her understand that I believe marriage is a lifetime thing. I told her, do you want a one day happiness to a marriage of sorrow, or let's do what we can do on the day, which is the wedding, and you have marital happiness? Then I also made them understand that there will be anniversaries to celebrate, and that one we will remake the wedding. That one, if you want to dance and roll from the entrance, do 1 million cars lined up, it will be done. But I believe that men, life is.
It was one that I could see that you were vibing her.
Oh, the thing is not about vibe, but I was giving her
the
life lessons.
Okay.
I made her know that life is.
Let me find out how did you take it? How did you take it? All these
Oh,
things.
but good. I can answer the how did she take it, because I had
had
built her up in the word of God. Made her understand that life is in phases, and men are in sizes.
Okay.
So I got to know that some of the things you are asking, those weddings you went and saw at their parents had back, and by the grace of God, where I'm coming from. So Pastor Robert, you know me.
Okay.
How even go. So those things were there. But in all, as I said, it's about the two of you. The Bible says, how can two work together if they've not agreed? So the agreement comes, and the thing is, we have to reach a compromise.
Okay.
We have to reach a compromise.
So, Kwashie, do you look back and wish that we should have done this for the wedding, we should have done that for the wedding, we should have handled this that way, and the rest?
You know that amazingly,
Okay.
God surprised me. I mean, it wasn't like the usual wedding or wedding trend that is going on, but then it was a beautiful ceremony.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there was
yeah.
important things were done.
And boys were there.
The most important thing, family, friends were around.
Happy with God.
I mean, it was a beautiful occasion. Honestly, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, God really showed up. I mean, God really blew my mind.
So will you agree with when you were saying that you were just giving yourself pressure because you didn't need some of the things you were talking about?
Yes, I have to agree.
Because I think they believe that those things, without it, your wedding was going to And one thing I also add is that when we talk about the wealth of somebody, it's not just about the money being available, but having, because your friends do count to your wealth.
Okay.
So I also, because we had a reasonable and a simplistic way we wanted to do it, by the grace of God, the people God gave us audience before who listen to our plans, because you see, you get mother figures, fathers, mothers asking, when your thing didn't look outrageous, some of them even offered. And I think we can share some of them. We had someone sponsoring a wedding gown, because the person heard that it's not a long gown that I wanted. And I think the woman even told us that she had bought the gown some years ago, and God told her that a daughter will come for it. So we were just talking, and the woman just went off and just got up and brought it for my wife to measure and gave her some things, me to myself. And one day I'll write a book about how I got married.
Okay.
And write some people's names, because some of the things that one prayer I prayed that God, I don't want to, before and after my marriage, I'll have headache.
Okay.
So by the grace of God, I don't know other people, but I believe I'm one of the people, or the only person who married and I was not under pressure.
Let's talk about family opposition or oppositions in general.
Yeah, for the opposition to be the woman's side, because
for
my side.
Okay, tell us more.
So if I mean opposition, no, the opposition, you see, like you have what you want to do. So your parents, as today, agreeing to it or not, and me to have. But for me, my people, I was like the captain. So whatever I say,
that's that.
Yes, sir, they are following.
Nobody had from your side, nobody had a problem with the fact that you wanted to marry early, you just left university, not less than...
Amazingly, do you know, I thought my father would have opposed it. Because when I returned from Bolga, the year I got married, my mother was the first person I told her about that. And my mother told me that when I was young, I used to say I'll marry. And so she was not surprised, she heard me. But she said the way I was living my life, it looked like I was someone set in motion to marry very soon. So my news was not surprising to her. So I delayed in telling my father. I thought he would be the opposition, because You see, and I all of them, I thought there would be opposition, but it was my dad, because after school we've sponsored the education, blah blah blah. We want to cash out before the woman starts coming. But for them, one thing my mother said, that she heard me, I talked about it. Secondly, she knows my heart, and it will not be marriage that will take them away from my heart. So coincidentally, even one day I was talking to my father, then we were watching a movie, and a young guy had married early like that, and we were talking, and he made a comment that this is what young men of today should be doing, because the indecision is too much.
Okay.
Then I just said, then this is the best time.
Wow.
Then I told him that, oh, Daddy, I'm planning to marry. Oh man, I've been waiting for it a long time.
Okay. Are you sure your mother has not done the work by going to
Oh no, that time there was a bit of tension in the house, so talking, they don't talk, so I'm not sure. But the reason why I knew my dad's concern was genuine was that my dad knew my friendship with Portia for a very long time. So for him knowing that the son is in close relation with this girl, the next news to expect is marriage. If not, the girl are going to impregnate her.
All right. Our cherished viewers, we are going to the content. This production will be on YouTube as well. We'll put the whole video on YouTube. So as we are going off, we have not stopped the interview. We are just taking a quick break, and then we will be right back. This production is brought to you by MTG Multimedia and the MTG Group. Thank you very much, and thank you to our guests, Mr. and Mrs. Kwashie, actually Reverend Mrs Elikem Kwashie, and we are hoping Pastor Portia Kwashie. God bless you. Thank you. Join us for the interview on YouTube. Bye.
In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
All right, welcome back. We want to look at the subject of opposition. And Brother Newton was telling us certain aspects of opposition he was hoping he would have gotten, but he didn't, especially from his father, considering the fact that he was marrying early. Okay, so I'll let him wrap up with his statement, then we'll find out from him whether he received any other opposition.
Okay, so as I said, my dad was very open to the idea, and I really loved it. So he told me that he would be available for anything he would have to do. So they're going for the knocking, whatever. So he was ready. Unfortunately, too, I remember the weeks we had to go to, he was seeking permissions from work to be available for us to go, and that was a great thing. And my mom too was readily available. And the oppositions that, as I said, came from Portia's side. I don't know if I should use the word opposition, but I mean it wasn't any reasonable opposition from.
Why is that?
Because the grounds on which they were made to me didn't make some sense to me. It was a more of to me, that's what. So if you get to Portia, then she should say it. Okay. It was more of how do I put it? Either an expectation from the extended family. So her nuclear family, that's her parents, were trying to fight for the extended family's interest. Okay. So about is your daughter ready for marriage, blah blah, what was that? The opposition was all because I'm a pastor. Okay. I don't know if they were looking for a despite son or an Japan in their family. So it was all about a pastor, what work does he do? And secondly, where I am going to serve the Lord. I believe that the pastor alone wouldn't have been a problem, but going to be a pastor in a village. Okay. Because if I would have been in Accra, they know me surely. So that was it. But thanks be to God, God fought my battles for me, and thankfully again, my wife was it. That's why I said that there should be understanding. You discuss it. Then both parties should be convinced about their conviction. So when the ball went to her side, she really stood her ground and defended my cause. And that's so. Over to you, Jonathan.
Kwashie, how did it go?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say it was an opposition. It wasn't like, no, don't get married
Okay.
now, or no, don't get married, or we don't think you are ready or anything like that. I think we were just being concerned, as parents and as the first child and the first girl. Of course, as he said, him being a pastor and then not necessarily having like
an established church.
Or aside that, career-wise, maybe he's not like he's not in a company that are paying thousands and then all that. So we're just concerned, right? So we're just concerned and asking questions about how we go about things and all. And as you mentioned, the pressure or the influence from the extended family also counted. Since it's like, Ghana is not just about the nuclear family, but the extended family. Whatever you do, they are also involved. Their inputs, their thoughts, and all that. But in the end, it still boils down to the nuclear family, about your father and your mother being able to, convince them that, okay, this is the case, but then this is how we are going to go about it.
Okay.
So, and aside that too, we also were concerned about the timing. To them, when you bring a guy that you want to settle down, then you take like a year or a year and a half to prepare and then have your wedding ceremony and all that. But for our case, it didn't happen like that. We didn't spend too much time. To them, the time frame was short. We were thinking about the age thing. Oh, why don't you wait when you are 26 or 27 or 28? And then when that happened to my husband, asked, so all within that time, what would you be doing? I believe in times and seasons. Everybody's time and everybody's seasons are different. So once you are aligned with the Spirit of God, you pray and then you got the go ahead from God and you believe that you are within range or it's your season, I think you should step into it and then take advantage. Age shouldn't be a main thing. It shouldn't be the main thing. Aside all that, my parents mentioning age, waiting to a particular age, they knew me. They knew that, oh, I'm matured. I must say, my mother, she knows that, oh, I'm able to handle certain situations. Maybe somebody my age may not or doesn't have that kind of.
When you say your mother knew that you were matured, what do you actually mean?
What do I actually mean? How to handling certain situations.
So meaning that age was not a main factor, but
maturity is not.
Maturity has to do with the age. So what should somebody look at and say, I'm matured for marriage? Or in your opinion, what was your mother looking at when you felt that she felt you were matured?
Okay, so with her, well, what I think, as I said, I'm the first child, first girl. I have siblings, right? So me being able to take care of my siblings, there are times when both of them are not around, and then it's like you are supposed to be in charge. Yeah, to take care of them, and then aside that, certain situations that will come up, and probably your input or what you think about the situation, and then your advice to her or to the family, all those perspective things too.
Okay.
I think that's what she did that.
Was there a point in time where you felt that let's just call this thing off?
No, I wouldn't say I felt to call it off, but I just felt that maybe we should extend the time at which it should happen. Like we should give ourselves more time.
So say it because so earlier on we had planned to marry in September.
Okay.
So that's opposition or contention that took us to the December. And one thing I will say is that as a spiritual person, I believe in timing.
Okay.
So because the Bible said concerning the times and know what Israel should do at whatever point. So I sense that it was a Kairos time for me to marry. So I remember telling my wife that because even it was difficult for me switching from the September to December. So I agreed and I told her that after the December, no date changing again. If the date changes, we call off the relationship. Because I sensed it is a Kairos thing. No, and truly, if it had extended beyond the December, I would have lost interest in it. Because I am a fighter, but I'm not a fighter for marriage. Because some of the things happening to me didn't make sense. But
and
so
someone will say then you were not interested in
well,
marrying in the first place.
it's your family that will be who will be well blocked. But my own was that it is a timing. But I was about to say something when you cut me. But I am a fighter, but some of the things were not making sense to me. So then I told her something that I fight my battles for my knees. So I'm going to go on my knees and leave it to God. And there's a prayer I like praying and I've never ceased praying. Father, if it is your will, let a way be made. If it is not your will, let situations and circumstances break us apart. So it was in that. So she will tell you, when I did that, I decided on that. I stopped following up on what are your fathers and all that. I left it. I just said, I've left it to God. So that was the experience where God was dealing with them in dreams and vision. Yeah. Oh, maybe she will tell you that God was even appearing to people in dreams, warning them.
Wow.
And things. More than the Nebuchadnezzar.
Pastor, can you share an example?
Oh, that one I was there, so I can share it. I don't know. Her mother may share it with her. I was visiting a friend who is in their area.
Okay.
So the friend and I met in church.
Okay.
And I told him that, oh, where are you going? And he said, I'm going home. So when he mentioned where he lived, and I said, oh, me too, I'm going to Dodowa. And he said, I'm going to Mensa. And I said, oh, yeah, man. So after church, I said, then let me go and visit you. Then I'll go home. So when we're going, then he raised that, but your wife to be lives in this area. So he will tell you that I wasn't in the thing that I wanted to pass there because, excuse me to say, in tree, not as a portion in the bush of one machine. But the mother wasn't too fine, so my friend said, oh, let's pass by and pray with her. And Portia's mom, generally, if you say, okay, let me not say what I was saying, but I loved her before, but now I still. But in that period, it had this attitude.
Okay.
So we were going. My friend could see that it's not my inside because Portia's place there, I can see my friend's house. I wanted us to pass and go. So when we got there, we spoke with her, we prayed about her situation. So I had the call and I stepped out. So when I stepped out, receiving the call, then my friend was shouting, oh, we thank God. I didn't know. I thought the woman was sharing a testimony, although it was a testimony. Then I came back and said, Osofo, you see what God has done? Your mother-in-law said that she had a dream yesterday and God appeared to them and she said she had a series of dreams confirming that they shouldn't make a mistake and let me go. So I was there, they were not there. It's like God warning them that if they don't take care, they'll regret this decision. So me, I was just there behaving like I've not heard. Because me, I know what I've done in the spirit. Okay. So later, my dad called, Portia's dad called my dad, narrating that dream experience. That the man too said he too has had that experience, or is the wife. Because I think ideally, Portia's dad was going with the mom. Okay. So if the mom says it's okay, So me, my advice I'll give any young person, I always say is that if you're interested in a lady and want to marry her, get the heart of the mother. If you get the heart of the mother, convincing the father is simple. Because for fathers, they are actually not into the decision taking of like the mother. For them, because I scarcely remember when my dad called me and we spoke about how's your marriage going on. It is about why he called. Maybe I want to tell you this today like this. I wanted to tell him something. He called me, told me your auntie is dead. That's why he ended the call. He didn't wait for me because I had planned to call him. So when I saw his call, I said, hey, the man is prophetic. Oh, this auntie I told you is not feeling well, is dead. I was going to talk, I heard the call is just gone. Now where the mom, so every time the dad was speaking, it's her mom and some auntie who had the final say. And they all too. So I remember that auntie too calling my dad to confess that Portia's dad is using us as a block, but me to what I have gone through with God, I've washed my hand like Pontius Pilate. So it was a nice experience. So I'll just say, if you believe the lady is yours and the way is not coming, go on your knees.
Okay, Portia. So as far as you are concerned, there was no real opposition. Just that
Consent.
There were consents. Yes. Okay. So assuming that you mentioned that you wish that there should have been more time, how long would have been good enough? And do you think
the family were giving her 1 year?
1 year.
And their main time, the more time was not her to mature. It's time to plan. Because by the grace of Portia's family, they are like Nigerians. They like Mboso. So they want it to plan well. Well, I'm not saying that they are extravagant, but those kind of people like Ashantis. So that 1 year is not like to make sure Portia she can handle a baby or something. Their own is uncle so more US on Beba, like every day, all those things. So, but by the grace of God, I think we had them coming around, and as I said, as God took charge, everything and everyone fell in place.
Okay. So if the wedding had delayed, you wouldn't have been bothered, but clearly it would have disturbed you.
Yeah.
And you would have even called it off.
And even I may have even stopped being a pastor.
And you will stop being a pastor.
Because me earlier on, I didn't plan to marry. Like, also of what I've seen marriages in my family and things, I wanted to be a woman father.
Okay, so let's look at the fear of marrying. Even based on what you are just saying, what were some of the fears you entertained entering into the marriage? What were some of the potential dangers you saw? Some of the risk factors, because you definitely assess this man, if I see this particular behavior, it will lead to this and stuff like that. So what were some of those things for you, Portia, first of all?
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier. He's a man of faith, too much faith, if there's anything like that. But for me, of course, I mean, I have faith in God. I believe in God, but you know, it's like that kind of thing that is like you have faith in God, you believe God, but then it's like you are seeing, you want to do something, you have faith in God, but then there is
practical.
You know, you are seeing something which can also aid in it. But in this case, most of the times, it's just a faith. It's like there's nothing to support.
Without faith, it's impossible to please God.
So that actually it got me scared at a point. I was like, hey, what kind of when everybody is talking reality, he mentioned his faith.
Because
he mentioned something which, I mean, prayed me. As Christian, faith is our reality. I mean, no matter what. I mean, faith. Everything we do should be centered around faith. So, it actually got me scared at a point. Like, we are talking about this. We want to do this. We don't have money. How are we going to go about it? Faith. Yeah. I mean, so like, but then as time went on, I realized that the faith actually worked. The faith,
faith works.
the faith pulled some resources from somewhere to come. I mean, so I just had to go with the flow like that. That okay, this is the kind of person he is. All I need to do is also attach my faith to him, and I'm not supposed to talk faithlessness.
Okay.
So yeah, and doubts, especially considering the kind of person he is, being a pastor and all that.
By the grace of God, I'm doing all right.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That one, make
was there any other thing?
Aside that, those are the most of the things are just minor things. They're not main things.
Minor things like.
Let's
I think one thing too I also made her understand was that if everything will work, it's based on the two of us. So let us work with our faith and our God than listening to what people will say. Because if you leave it to, because if we are to ask everybody here, everybody, some people's hope is dashed because of the economy and blah blah blah. So if you listen to that too much, I believe that too got to her at a point. That's like today you buy something, the price of things are changing. I was like, hey Jack, I know you are not doing anything. Even me, grab my salary, I think it's meager or something. But I told her that the thing is faith and the Spirit of God I depend on. Because faith is a risk. And I believe that the greatest risk is not taking a risk. So I told her that God, I had fears, but my fear is not about the marriage side, but it's about I'm serving God, I'm doing the work of God well. Am I doing it well? Am I like that was my fear. Because the marriage there, the manual is there for me to follow the word of God. But with my calling and whatever was what I was interested in, so that was where my fear was. But once a while I fear, hey Charlie, tomorrow. You see that man's spirit, everything is okay, everything, but hey, I take it and it's empty, the envelope is empty. And you know, miraculously, anytime my account was zero and I slept and I woke and I just said, the scripture I told you today, Jesus said, which of you giving thought could even add a strand of hair to your hair or a cubit to your height? Then I'll just say that, Charlie, into your hands I commend our marriage. Miraculously, you wake up and either somebody has visited and come to give you things you are worrying about, or some momo will come from somewhere. I remember just the night I don't sleep early, around 2 a.m. is my earliest I sleep. I was just watching a video on YouTube, an unknown momo came, I don't know the name, I've called the number, it's not going. And I said, if the person will not pick, I don't care. For me, I needed the momo. And me, by the grace of God, I don't return mistaking momos. Because to me it's answered prayer. So the faith, because I had written a book earlier that year. It was Faith and Fear. Because I said faith is a reaction, fear is a reaction. So you choose which of them you want to use. So that was what I was doing. So that's why her family opposition thing wasn't like a fear that I will not get the girl onto mine. But I was telling her that, Portia, if you are not careful and you don't marry, it's your family. I remember telling her that. Because I believe in prophecies, but I also know human beings can interrupt prophecies. So I was telling her that. So that's why I said I want to thank her that she really took her stand on those times. I remember there was one of them, my dad and I were in their house, and she was really making the case to her parents.
Wow.
To a point she told them that, I know you guys are caring for me, but leave me myself, my care to me.
Wow.
Oh, I really loved that because I know when she was saying it, by now, after talking, she would have said, hey, but it was that faith in the God that we serve that I believe, gave her that courage. Because at the point, as I said, it wasn't making sense. So I really love what she said. I know you guys are caring for me, but you yourselves, you can't finish caring for yourself. We are all in God's hands. Leave me to my faith. And that's what, by the grace of God, is still working.
So just to add, aside that, one fear I have had for or towards marriage is the fact that people change. So you are going into marriage with a person, and then the person can just change. I mean, you don't.
Like I was asking.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what
yes.
yeah.
Somebody can just change from the way he used to be or from the way she used to be, and then like you realize, you ask yourself, is this the person that you married? But then, as I said, it also goes back to the fact that you think positively and then you pray and then have faith in God that okay, everything will turn out well.
Even if they change, or
That they
they
wouldn't
won't
change. Yeah.
Okay, but there's nothing like I'm preparing in case it change.
No.
For me,
So how did you overcome all those fears?
yeah. So praying, word of God,
And just
The
entering blindly.
entering blindly. Well, I got rest in the spirit of God. For me, as I say, it's not a cliche. Well, so that will depend on your relationship with God and the Holy Spirit. Prayer, to know that okay, this thing you are doing, God is in it, or God has given you a thumbs up. Go ahead, I'm with you. That kind of assurance was there for me. So.
And one thing that also, as I said, was that the worry comes, but I get to understand that although the fear is about tomorrow, I had the encouragement, the consolation that I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I know who holds tomorrow. So let me commit myself into him, into his hands. So that's what carried us to.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to ask these few questions, then we'll wrap up. Now, are there, during the preparation for the marriage process or from the courtship towards the marriage, has there been a time that certain advice or relevant people said certain things that kept you guys going? And if you can cite particular ones for us that have really helped you between the courtship or even if before that and the wedding or the marriage.
Okay, so with me, yeah, I'm talking for all of us because there is something I'm talking for all of us. Also. In that period, I went everywhere with it. Even if I arranged the meeting, I said we are going to see, because it got to a point who encourages the encourager. Okay. So I give her the morale and stuff, but me too, I need hope. Okay. So we go together, we listen, and in those periods, I really like what some of our fathers and mothers did. They know the reality, but they really ride on your faith in the God they also serve. Okay. So it was really helpful, and I remember Mama Rosemont, Reverend Sudanaba's wife's advice, using their story to encourage us. Then one other person, a couple, Reverend Charles Akrofi and the wife. Yeah, like one thing I love about all these people is that they brought their mother human aspect, they later switch into their pastoral element. If I mean what I meant was, so the first time we hear, okay, you have a place you stay, well, are you working? Like some of the time, like I was, but you know what time all this thing then. So in a way, I don't know why you ask me this girl to break my faith or something. Then later they come pastorally. We are like that, but faith and advising. And as we said earlier on, it's about they see the potential you are carrying, and they see the way you are going. So there's a sure sign that this person is like a bomb that has been time awaiting explosion. So with proper plans and mentorship. So their advice was good and gingered us on, but they also made us understand that we had what it takes to make it work.
All right.
Yeah, just to add, they also mentioned, the advice also was that it's one step at a time. Like you start from somewhere before you get somewhere. So if at this point in time, it's a good thing. They mention it's a good thing we want to do. So we should work with what we have and not go overboard just to please other people or something. So we should take it step by step. And that really got to me because at that point of in their life, you see that they've made it. They are rich. They have what it takes, but then they still remember where they came from. It didn't start like that, and that's advice they gave us that it will start gradually.
But I think one last thing I'll add was, aside the elderly people, I want to also acknowledge our contemporaries who had also married that, because I was a type that I take advice from the various generations, because we had their part. Because for them, in a way, you can say they have arrived, they've reached. So the other people that I really thank God for their lives was yourself, you, Pastor Robert, and our friend Pastor Enoch and his wife, because they are also freshly married, but both with 1 year, 2 year experiences. So because they are living in your economy, your system now, so how are they also seeing? So their advice and how they were surviving. So and I remember sometimes yourself and Pastor Enoch will say, Charlie, if God is doing it with us, it's possible with you. So there were people that, because there are times you can go to the elderly people, they talk, you get the faith, but you also want to know that what is your generation to say. So it was really one thing that I helped them. We'll say thank you very much, and you were always available for questions, talking, asking, and I really like how you were positive, because I believe there were some little challenges, but you saw them as maybe unnecessary and non-essential, and you told us that the decision is right, and that was one thing I loved about the thing, was about the positivity, because someone who, let's say, is in fire will tell you, hey Charlie, the fire is burning, but you guys were in a way where you attracted us into this sweet fire. That's how I'll say. So God bless you guys.
Then let's go into the fire component. Since we have started talking about sweet fire. Okay, so when I married, I remember that for about 3 months we were living on just gifts, because of how economically we organized the wedding. I remember I didn't want to invite so many people, so I sent the invitation 3 months ahead of time. If you remember, fine. If you didn't remember, I didn't resend
like
reminders or anything like that. And thankfully, I thought the place would be small, something simple, but the place was almost full. It was
full.
Yes.
I was working at the carrying chairs.
So I don't know. After marrying, how has the relationship been in terms of provision, getting to know each other, and then we'll go into the honeymoon on its own. I don't want you to tell that one, but just after the marriage, how was the life? And it's especially that one I want us to help people with, because let's say somebody married 50 years ago. If you ask him, oh, how was the aftermath? It will be difficult to tell, but you people can tell us for a fact that after the wedding we had a fight, or so and so, because I've heard of fights before wedding, after wedding, for 1 year.